the Lehigh Valley Railroad. The Lehigh Valley Railway was a thriving and invigorating force that drove Honeywell Falls' economy. It was both a blessing and a curse because it was what transported the goods down the line, but also kills when the locomotives wreck.
By increasing Honeywell Falls' popularity, the Lehigh Valley Railroad skyrocketed the amount of jobs present, boosted Honeywell Falls' population, but also brought immense amounts of debt when lawsuits and better job opportunities came.
This is the story of the Lehigh Valley Railroad.
Before we talk about the Lehigh Valley Railroad, we need to talk about railroads in general.
A railroad is a track where the head of the train, the locomotive, pulls cars of trains. The rails are made up of two steel rails that are crossed with wooden or concrete cross ties. The wheels are specially made to fit the track using flanges, which are raised edges around its rim. Switches are small movable tracks that help connect railroads to each other when two railroads split. They are called crossroads. Railroads also include communication systems. These control train traffic, handle passengers and freight, yard up trains, and tell shops to repair locomotives and cars.
In August 1829, public interest sparked when the first ever locomotive was operated on United States tracks.
The important and influential people involved were Horatio Allen, William Strickland, Philip E. Thomas, George Brown, and Charles Carroll.
This obviously happened in the country that we are all in right now in this very moment.
What country is this again?
Wait, we're in Canada, right?
The Lehigh Valley Railroad, fun fact, didn't even start in New York. It actually started in Pennsylvania.
The railroad started on September 20th, 1847 as the Delaware, Lehigh, Schuylkill, and Susquehanna Railroad Company.
Think you could make that name any longer?
No, Galvin! Because in 1853, the railroad was then changed into the Lehigh Valley Railroad.
What's going on here? The Lehigh Valley got a 4.5% cut from a $15 million mortgage payment. Can you guess what they used this money for, Gavin?
Extending the railroad?
100 points awarded to Mr. Latendry, everyone.
Sadly, just 5 years after this achievement, a train car crashes. There's no information on who died or if it was just a crash, but you best believe this was a wreck. I feel this picture can describe this better than I ever could.
This same year, the Lehigh Valley Transit Company merged with Philadelphia Lehigh Passenger Railway Company and Allentown and Slatington Passenger Railway.
Good job, Lehigh.
In 1906, there was another crash. This time people did die, no doubt about it. It was March 22nd, and the engineer, William Gaffney, was killed instantly on impact. Also, Edward Brusky, a firefighter, was killed trying to save him.
The start of the Lehigh Valley Railroad in Honeywell Falls, though, was a bit different. It started off with having little to no support. Most of everyone thought this railroad would go nowhere, but the president of the company, Alfred Walter, had plans otherwise.
Despite all the things going against it, the Lehigh Valley Railroad became one of the most profitable railroads in a relatively short amount of time. Work began in 1897. Starting in 1902, the railroad has brought in $11 million in just 8 years.
Considering the financial conditions and physical detriments the workers had to face, the workers did a fantastic job.
In 1910, the Lehigh Valley Railroad Company kept adding more additions to make the trains faster and safer to increase the speed of transporting freight.
One of these additions were more modern and efficient repair shops.
Okay, Adam, exactly how modern are these repair shops, Adam?
One of the most modern in the country, Parker!
Okay, cool.
In 1914, March 19th, the Lehigh Valley Railroad was sued for trust evasion. Uh-oh!
They had monopolistic tendencies by buying out other coal companies. Whoops.
The cancellation of the monopoly and contract between the Lehigh Valley business resulted in a profit loss for the Lehigh Valley Railroad.
Since the Lehigh Valley Railroad Company just lost a lot of money, they need to get back more money.
So their solution was to increase the amount of time investors could buy stock.
Lehigh's descent didn't stop there, though. In 1925, thousands of workers quit their jobs because they were noticing that the union miners were not only getting more benefits, but also more money.
One of Lehigh's not-so-negative times at this point was how they managed to branch the city of New York. The Lehigh Valley Railroad was extended to New York City and changed the name of the Lehigh Line there. This rail then got bought out by Norfolk Southern Railway. So there's a source of income, Lehigh. Nice job compensating for losing a ton of your workers and money.
In 1943, the old Lehigh Valley Railroad Company rented out their property to the new Lehigh Valley Railroad Company for 999 years.
Parker, what are you even saying? This makes less sense than the idea that sliced bread came out after the airplane. Who would rent something for 999 years? Why not 1,000? Why wouldn't they just let them buy it? Why wouldn't they? Why?
Shut up! Included in the rental was taxes, bonds, and maintenance.
After the Great Depression, for some reason, trains weren't as popular anymore. People preferred cars over trains, but can you blame them? Cars were a brand new thing that were both innovative and efficient.
Even though the railroad was going bankrupt, the banks let it stay, which eventually led to overall revenue to over $100 million.
With this, it seemed the Lehigh Valley Railroad was about to have a revival, a rebirth of sorts. Jim Boyd states, a once fierce rivalry ended up in 1965 when the Lehigh Valley Railroad and Jersey Central agreed to combine 70 miles of duplicating lines.
Sadly, all this wouldn't last for long. In the end, it just did not continue. The Lehigh Valley Railroad closed its doors in 1976 because there was just no more freight left to pull, and the road declared bankruptcy.
The Lehigh Valley Railroad is the rail-going phenomenon that drove the small town of Honeyway Falls. The Lehigh Valley Railroad, like all great things, must commit a bunch of crimes and then eventually admit bankruptcy. A strong start with Alfred Walter, and a very rocky end with becoming irrelevant. The Lehigh Valley Railroad had a lifespan of just under 100 years. This railroad brought resources to point A to point B along the eastern coast and gathered over $100 million. If you are ever in Honeyway Falls, make sure you stop by the Lehigh Valley Trail and relive the past, just as people have done 100 years before. Thank you for watching.